All right, so today on Technically You, we're diving into something that you might not know by name, but is probably working hard behind the scenes in your smart home.
So, what are we talking about here?
Z Wave.
Oh, Z-Wave.
It's like this secret ingredient making all that cool tech work.
So true.
Most of us are not familiar with Z Wave.
Yes, Z-Wave is very much overlooked as a technical protocol, but it really is the backbone of many smart home setups.
So, what exactly is Z Wave? Explain it to us as if you're educating your grandma.
Think of it as a special language that your smart devices use to chat with each other. Just like we use English to communicate, devices need a way to understand commands like turn on the lights or lock the door.
Oh, that makes sense.
And that's where Z-Wave comes in.
Okay, but why not just use Wi Fi or Bluetooth?
Those are great for things like streaming movies or listening to music. But when it comes to your smart home, reliability and energy efficiency are key. You wouldn't want your front door lock relying on a spotty Wi-Fi connection.
Oh, gosh.
That wouldn't exactly give you peace of mind, right?
You're telling me. I'd be constantly worried about getting locked out.
Z-Wave avoids those headaches by operating on a less crowded frequency band. It doesn't use that crowded 2.4 gigahertz frequency.
Oh, okay.
Think of it like choosing a quiet back road instead of a busy highway.
I like that.
Less interference, smoother sailing.
Okay.
Plus, Z-Wave sips energy like a hummingbird, which is perfect for battery-powered devices like motion sensors.
That's cool.
Some Z-Wave devices can run for 5 years on a single battery.
5 years?
Think of the money and waste you'll save.
Now that's impressive. But how does it manage to be so reliable? The source material mentions something called a mesh network,
Right.
which sounds kind of weird to me.
It's actually quite clever. Okay, instead of each device trying to connect directly to your Wi-Fi router, they form a little neighborhood watch where each device can relay messages to its neighbor. So even if one device goes down, the message can still get through.
So it's like the children's telephone game,
Exactly.
but for smart homes.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
This mesh network makes Z-Wave super resilient. Plus, it extends the range since the signal can hop between devices, like how your phone finds the strongest Wi-Fi signal. Your Z-Wave devices are always looking for the best connection to keep your smart home running smoothly.
So it's always got a backup plan. That's reassuring. But with this focus on low power, does that mean it's slower than other protocols?
That's a great question.
I mean, we all love speed, right?
The Z-Wave's data transfer rate is slower than Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, topping out at around 100 kilobits per second. But remember, most smart home devices aren't sending large files or streaming movies. They're transmitting small, bursty bits of information like door open or temperature change.
So it's kind of like sending a text message
Precisely.
versus streaming a whole movie.
Yeah, it's about choosing the right tool for the job.
Got it.
And in this case, the job doesn't require blazing speed,
That's correct.
but it does demand consistency and energy efficiency.
That makes total sense.
Yes, it does.
Now, I know Z-Wave is popular in homes, but I read that it's used in other places too.
Right.
That surprised me.
Did it?
It's not just for turning on my lights.
While Z-Wave is often associated with smart homes, its applications are much broader.
Okay,
We're seeing it used in commercial buildings for things like energy management and security systems.
interesting.
It's even popping up in healthcare for remote patient monitoring.
Healthcare.
Yeah,
Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
I knew you would be.
Tell me more about that.
Imagine a heart monitor discreetly sending your doctor data via Z-Wave, allowing for early intervention without constant hospital visits.
That's amazing. It sounds like Wi-Fi Direct, except for the lower speed and power consumption.
Exactly. This is where Z-Wave's reliability and low energy consumption are game changers.
Okay, since we know no technology is absolutely perfect, what are the potential downsides?
While Z-Wave has a lot to offer, there are some considerations to keep in mind. One of the main ones is the need for a central hub.
So you can't just buy a Z-Wave light bulb and screw it in.
You got it.
You need this extra piece of equipment.
The hub acts as the brain of your Z-Wave network,
Okay.
connecting all the devices and allowing you to control them from a centralized location. This can be a barrier for some people,
Right.
especially if they're used to the simplicity of plug-and-play Wi-Fi devices.
So there's a trade-off. Convenience versus those super reliable connections
Yeah.
and long battery life.
It's all about finding the right balance for your needs and budget.
Right.
And speaking of budget,
What about budgeting?
well, Z-Wave devices can sometimes be more expensive than their Wi-Fi or Bluetooth devices.
So you're paying a premium for that rock solid connection and peace of mind,
That's one way to look at it.
but you're also saving on battery replacements in the long run.
You are, and those tiny batteries can really add up over time.
True. Speaking of trade-offs, the source material also mentions something about the range of individual Z-Wave devices being limited.
Yeah.
How much of an issue is that?
While the mesh network extends the overall reach of the system, each individual Z-Wave device has a limited range, typically up to around 100 meters in open air.
100 meters, that's not too bad.
However, walls, furniture, and other obstacles can significantly reduce this range.
So you might need a few strategically placed devices to ensure good coverage throughout your home.
Exactly.
It's not just about buying one smart bulb and calling it a day.
No, not if you have a larger home or one with a more complex layout. But remember, even with these limitations, Z-Wave's mesh network makes it much more reliable than relying on a single point of connection.
Okay, so we've learned that Z-Wave is this super reliable energy sipping protocol that uses a clever mesh network to keep your smart home running smoothly. It might not be the fastest, and there are some cost considerations, but for many people, those trade-offs are worth it for the peace of mind and long-term savings.
Yes, exactly.
I'm already starting to think about how this could work in my own home.
I think that's a great takeaway.
Yeah.
Z-Wave has carved out a unique niche in the world of smart home technology, and it's definitely a force to be reckoned with. Now, let's dive into some real-world examples of how Z-Wave is being used to make homes smarter and more efficient.
Okay, let's do it. So we've got the basics of Z-Wave down, but let's get into the fun stuff. What kind of cool things can we actually do with this technology? I'm especially curious about those battery-powered devices you mentioned. A motion sensor running for 5 years on a single battery. Yeah, that's like magic.
It really is a testament to Z-Wave's energy efficiency.
Yeah.
Let's take smart lighting as an example.
Okay.
Imagine replacing your traditional light switches with Z-Wave-enabled ones.
Okay.
These switches can wirelessly communicate with your lights, allowing you to control them remotely, set schedules, and even create custom lighting scenes.
So no more fumbling for the light switch in the dark.
Right.
I can definitely get behind that. But wouldn't you need to rewire your whole house for these fancy switches?
Not necessarily. Many Z-Wave smart switches can be installed without new wiring.
Oh, really?
Yes, really, making them a relatively easy upgrade.
So you don't have to rip out your walls.
Exactly. They basically act as a bridge between your existing wiring and the wireless Z-Wave network.
Ooh, okay.
It's like giving your old light switch a high-tech makeover.
That sounds way less intimidating than I thought. But what about the light bulbs themselves? Do they need to be Z-Wave compatible too?
No, you can use regular light bulbs with Z-Wave smart switches.
Now, that is cool, and it can save some money.
But if you want to unlock the full potential of the system, you can opt for Z-Wave-enabled smart bulbs. That way they can be individually controlled, dimmed, and even change color.
Oh, color changing lights. That's the next level of cool.
Yeah,
Now I'm picturing my house lit up like a disco ball for my next party.
there you go.
But seriously, what other kinds of devices benefit from Z-Wave's unique capabilities?
Let's move on to home security. This is another area where Z-Wave shines. Think about door and window sensors
Right?
that can instantly alert you
Yeah.
if something is opened unexpected.
Speaking of peace of mind, that reminds me of the time I went on vacation
Yeah.
and spent the whole trip worrying.
Oh, yeah.
If I'd locked the back door, Z-Wave would have been a lifesaver.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These sensors can be discreetly placed on doors and windows, sending a signal to your Z-Wave hub the moment they detect any activity. This information can then be relayed to your smartphone, giving you real-time updates and peace of mind.
Wow.
Whether you're at home or miles away.
That's a game changer for anyone who's ever experienced that. Did I lock the door? Panic.
Right.
What about other security features? Can Z-Wave control things like security cameras and alarms?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Many Z-Wave systems can integrate with a wide range of security devices.
I am thinking about upgrading my security system now.
Cool, you can have motion sensors trigger your security cameras to start recording or activate a siren if motion or an intrusion is detected.
Okay.
It's like having a whole team of security guards working together to protect your home.
Right?
All coordinated through Z-Wave.
It sounds like Z-Waves can create a truly comprehensive security system.
It can.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
But earlier you mentioned Z-Waves use in areas beyond the home, like in commercial buildings and even healthcare.
Yes, I did.
I have to admit, that surprised me.
Oh, it's true. Z-Wave's reach extends far beyond residential settings.
So tell me more.
One area where it's gaining traction is commercial building automation.
Building automation, what is that?
Imagine a large office building where Z-Wave is used to control lighting, heating, and holding systems. Sensors can detect occupancy in different areas, automatically adjusting the temperature and lighting for optimal comfort and energy efficiency.
So it's not just good for the environment, it's good for business too.
You got it. This kind of intelligent automation can lead to significant cost savings for businesses, especially when it comes to energy consumption. There's so few places.
Yeah, makes sense.
And you're right, it's not just about saving money, it's also about reducing our environmental footprint.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
But what about the healthcare example you mentioned? Remote patient monitoring.
okay.
How does Z-Wave fit into that picture?
This time, imagine a wearable device that tracks a patient's vital signs and transmits that data wirelessly to their healthcare provider, all via Z-Wave.
Wow.
This allows for continuous monitoring without the patient being tethered to a hospital bed.
So doctors can keep a closer eye on their patients, even from a distance.
Exactly.
That feels like something out of Star Trek.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This technology has the potential to revolutionize healthcare, allowing for early detection of problems and more personalized care.
Right.
And because Z-Wave is so energy efficient, these devices can be worn comfortably for extended periods without needing frequent recharging.
Wow. The possibilities are truly mind-boggling.
They are.
But before we get too carried away with all the amazing things Z-Wave can do, let's step back and talk about some potential challenges.
Absolutely.
Earlier, we discussed the need for a central hub and the potential cost premium of Z-Wave devices. Are there any other considerations that people should be aware of?
One thing to consider is the potential for interference from other devices operating on the same frequency band. While Z-Wave is designed to minimize interference, it's still something to be mindful of, especially in areas with a lot of wireless signals using the same frequency.
So it's like trying to have a conversation at a crowded party.
That's a good analogy.
Sometimes the message can get lost in the noise.
Yeah.
Okay?
In most cases, these issues can be resolved with careful planning and placement of your Z-Wave devices.
Right.
But it's definitely something to consider during the setup process.
Good point. What about security concerns?
What about it?
And whenever we're talking about wireless communication,
Yeah,
security is top of mind.
absolutely.
Is Z-Wave vulnerable to hacking?
You raise a valid concern.
Okay.
Security is paramount when it comes to smart home technology. The good news is that Z-Wave uses robust encryption to protect your data and prevent unauthorized access to your devices.
So it's not just like wide open.
Exactly. It's like having a digital bodyguard protecting your smart home.
Okay, that's reassuring to hear.
Good.
So it's important to choose Z-Wave devices and hubs
Yes,
from reputable manufacturers who prioritize security.
absolutely. Don't cut corners when it comes to security.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Do your research and choose brands that have a strong track record.
All right, so today we've covered the basics of Z-Wave to its diverse application and some of the challenges to keep in mind. It was an interesting conversation for sure.
It has been fascinating, hasn't it? We've seen how often this invisible technology is quietly shaping the way we interact with our homes, our workplaces, and even our healthcare.
It's amazing to think how something as seemingly simple as a wireless protocol can have such a profound impact on our lives. It really is incredible how Z-Wave is quietly working behind the scenes to make our lives easier and more connected. But before we wrap up this podcast, I want to circle back to something you said earlier about trade-offs.
Sure.
You encouraged our listeners to think about the balance between different features and protocols when choosing smart home technology.
Right.
Could you elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah, I'm happy to dig a little bit deeper.
What are some of the key factors people should consider?
Well, when it comes to smart home tech, there's no one size that fits all solutions.
Right.
The best choice for you will depend on your individual needs, priorities, and budget.
Okay.
One of the first things to consider is the ecosystem you're comfortable with.
Okay.
Some people prefer to stick with a single platform,
Right.
like Apple HomeKit or Google Home, while others are happy to mix and match devices from different manufacturers.
So it's like choosing what you are comfortable with.
Yeah, make sure the devices you choose can work together seamlessly.
Right. You don't want to end up with a bunch of gadgets
Exactly.
that can't talk to each other.
That would be a smart home nightmare.
Yes, that would be a nightmare. So compatibility is key. What else should we be thinking about?
Ease of use is another big one. Some smart home systems are more intuitive than others. Consider your technical comfort level and choose a system that you'll find easy to set up and manage.
Right?
You don't want to spend hours troubleshooting just to turn on a light bulb.
Right. Who has time for that?
Exactly.
So if I'm not a tech wizard, should I stick with systems that are known for being user-friendly?
Right, there are plenty of options out there that don't require a degree in computer science.
That's good to know.
And, of course, budget is always a consideration.
Right, of course.
Smart home technology can range from affordable to quite expensive.
Yeah.
So it's important to set a realistic budget and stick to it.
Yeah, it's easy to get carried away with all the cool gadgets out there.
I know.
But you're right. No need to break the bank just to make your home a little smarter.
Exactly.
So to recap, when choosing smart home technology, think about your preferred ecosystem, compatibility, ease of use, and your budget.
Exactly.
That's a lot to keep in mind.
Yes, there are a lot of things to remember.
But now that we know about Z-Wave, we have another tool in our toolbox. It's definitely given me a lot to think about.
Good.
Now, before we say goodbye, I want to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question to ponder.
Okay.
We've heard how Z-Wave excels in areas where reliability and energy efficiency are paramount. But what about the future? As technology continues to evolve at a breakneck pace, how do you see Z-Wave adapting and evolving
That's a great question.
to meet the demands of an increasingly connected world?
As we move toward a future where everything from our refrigerators to our cars is connected to the internet,
Yeah, that's crazy.
the need for reliable, low-power communication will only grow.
Right?
I believe Z-Wave is well positioned to play a key role in this future. We're already seeing advancements in Z-Wave technology, such as increased data rates and the development of new features that enhance security and interoperability.
So it's not just about maintaining the status quo, it's about pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Exactly. Z-Wave is constantly evolving to meet the demands of a rapidly changing technological landscape. And as consumers, we have the power to drive this innovation by demanding products and services that prioritize security, privacy, and sustainability.
Well said. We've reached the end of our podcast into the world of Z-Wave.
Yes, we have.
Hopefully, you've come away with a newfound appreciation for this unsung hero of the smart home revolution. Remember, the next time you effortlessly control your lights or receive a notification that your door or window is securely locked, take a moment to acknowledge the quiet but powerful force of Z-Wave working behind the scenes.
Yes, it is.
So until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the fascinating world of technology.